shifts back to Edmonton for Game 3 as we get you set right here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. I'm your host, Tom Gazzola, joined by YouTube Trev back at ESTHQ. We've got David Pagnotta stopping by in a couple of minutes. And, of course, Matt Kassian will bring us Game Changers. We highly encourage you to join the conversation if you're listening maybe on your way home from work or you're driving to the Ice District. Maybe you're going to the game and you're listening on iHeartRadio. Tune in, or maybe it's the Apple Music player and even the Edmonton Sports Talk audio player. Text us 780-218-9999. And then if you're watching on YouTube, get it to the nasty chat. We always appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up button on your way in. GCL Diesel, Edmonton's diesel fuel system specialists and providers of critical engine components for over 50 years. All right, this is a pivotal, crucial, do-or-die game number 3 as the Oil look to keep things going on this tremendous run that they have been on this postseason. Can they do it? Will they do it? We will see in about an hour and a half as the puck gets ready to drop for the Stanley Cup Final back in Edmonton for the first time in 4 years, but with an Oilers team involved. First time in 18 years, June 17th, 2006. The Oilers defeated the Carolina Hurricanes 4-0 in Game 6 of that series. All right, he is ready to go. He is our good friend from the fourth period, NHL Network Insider, Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. He's a jack of all trades, a master of all of them. He is David Pagnotta. What's up, Paisan? You doing good?
After that intro, how can I not be? Holy cow. Thanks, buddy.
I'm your hype man, boy. I'm your hype man. Let's go.
I love it. We got Game 3. Let's do it.
Let's go. All right. Give us your sense of the vibe going into. I like vibes. Set the scene. Tell me what's going on. You talk to players from both teams. You talk to management and coaches from both teams. All teams, really. But what's your sense going into this one from what you've seen and heard?
A lot of confidence on both sides. First of all, it's already packed outside. So that's outside the rink. The swarm is here. Everybody's raring to go. It's really been buzzing for the last couple hours, actually. Everybody kind of making their way over. But a lot of confidence on both teams. The Oilers especially, very, very confident. Even though down 2-0, being able to come back to the home barn and play in front of these fans and the energy that they're going to bring into this building, they're hyped and they're excited and raring to go. And I mean, from Florida's side of things, you better be confident. You're up 2-0. So, Matthew Tkachuk said yesterday, whatever, the travel wasn't a big deal. Who cares? Not the end of the world. They hit the ice in the morning, then they, delayed flight. Whatever. It took me nine years to get here, but it seemed like it. But they seem they're confident as well. So you're getting two confident squads for two different reasons, which should make for a pretty interesting game. And I'm curious to see who tries to jump out quickly in this one rather than just kind of slow play it. I think both teams will try to kind of command the game early, and that should lead for some excitement.
Dave, you're talking about both teams having confidence, and it's interesting. Like, same thing. I'm in the locker room yesterday morning with the Oilers talking to them, and they're like, we know what we're doing wrong. We're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. I think we're going to be okay. Each guy that I spoke with kind of said the same thing. Do you think that that's misguided? I know you want to be excited, and I know you want to be confident in your ability, and Edmonton has had a way of getting back into series when they've had their backs against the wall. But do you think that might be a little bit misguided or a little bit surprising how confident Edmonton is?
No, I think they knew they screwed up in Game 2. I think they knew they shot themselves in the foot, whatever you want to say, however you want to describe it. I think they knew that they were off their game. And look, I mean, Fogle takes a 5-minute major right out of the gate, puts you down. The ice starts to tilt, even though Florida didn't, take advantage of that too much. But the ice started to tilt a little bit in terms of just their ability, Florida's ability to get things going. So I think they recognize what they did wrong. And again, if they didn't play as well as they did, even though they lost Game 1, if they didn't play that well and with that level of effort in Game 1, then I would be concerned. Then I would look at it and go, "You sure, guys? Like, I know you're saying the cutesy things, but like, are you sure?" No, but because they had that performance in Game 1, I think they can get back to that level. Forget about Game 2. You don't win a Stanley Cup by winning 2 games.
Yeah. Dave, when you look at the Florida Panthers, and we saw Barkov skated yesterday before they flew out,
Yep.
it looks like he's good to go today. And I know
He's playing.
Tarasenko, same thing. What's your read on that? And if you're the Oilers, are you attacking these guys tonight? Like, how do you look at this scenario?
Yeah, 100%. If I know somebody's hurt, I'm going to try to hurt you a little bit more. I mean, that's the way it is. If anybody's played any sport, that's kind of what you do. It's, it sucks for that guy, but, cover up your injuries better. I don't know what to tell you. Any kind of edge that on either side can get, you're going to take advantage of that. So, yes, I mean, I expect Edmonton to go after Tarasenko a little bit, to apply pressure on Barkov, certainly. There's no changes unless something has happened in the last couple of hours. There's no anticipated changes to Florida's lineup. So if one guy's a little bit banged up, then yeah, you go after him. Now, granted, head injuries you don't mess with,
right?
And guys certainly understand that. But like if someone's got I know someone's ribs are hurting them. Maybe I'm taking an extra little shot to the midsection on a guy, but that's normal. And to like the Bennett on Marchand situation earlier in the playoffs, Marchand acknowledged that exact thing. Like, good for him. He got away with it. I would be doing the same thing.
All right, David Pagnotta joining us now from the fourth period as we get you set for game number 3 between the Oilers and the Panthers. Stanley Cup Final returning to Edmonton. First time since the bubble. Dave, how many games did you go to during the bubble year?
Between Toronto and Edmonton, I went to 75 games in 59 days. Yeah. So that was a lot of hockey. That crazy overtime 8-period game in Toronto, I was there. And then I was there the next morning at 11 a.m. because Boston's game got rescheduled for the next morning. And there were 4 games that day. Yep. So I was packing a lunch. I had my brown paper bag and everything. And all the snacks all day for that one at Scotiabank. And then after round 2, came over here, conference final and cup final. That was
yeah.
It was nuts. It was bananas.
Yeah, but then you made so many new best friends when you came here, which
yes.
you see all the time every time you come here.
I fell in love with Edmonton through COVID. So yes. Or that whole mess. So I always love coming back. Even though it appears being on your show lately, I've ticked off a few Oiler fans, but I still love you guys. So
yeah, don't worry. The love comes back when they're over it or after a few beverages and their team wins. So it's all good, buddy.
Yeah, well,
I saw nothing but love from people in and around the city when they saw you yesterday, and it's good to have you and DB back in the city. Okay, Oilers' point of view, injuries. Yes. We talked about the Panthers' injuries, Oilers' injury situation. Darnell Nurse is nicked up, but it looks like he's going to be good to go. And then you've got Evander Kane had a good length conversation with Chris Knoblauch prior to practice yesterday. Kane goes right off the ice after the conversation. He might be questionable tonight. What do you make of the situation if both guys play? Because I think we know that Derek Ryan's in for Sam Carrick and how badly it could affect the Oilers with these guys nicked up.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Knoblauch tried to keep things quiet this morning, saying, just wait for the pregame and figure it out. But, yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, Corey Perry was on NHL Network earlier when he arrived to the rink. He made it seem like he was in and going to be part of the action. And he also talked about playing in this building and the hype that comes with it. So I don't know exactly if Evander Kane is going to play. I mean, look, if he can, he's going to want to, without question. But you have to figure out to what degree can he perform. And if he performs, is that potentially detrimental in some fashion to the rest of the group? Is his presence somewhat of a negative because he's not playing at a level that you would expect him to play, and you may be better off putting somebody else in a different, somewhere else in the lineup, maybe down the lineup. But look, again, regardless of who's in and who's nicked up, because I can guarantee you they're not the only ones on this team that are nicked up.
Yep.
If you can come out with, again, that same level of effort that you had in game 1, and that has to be the mindset, then to me, it doesn't matter who's in the lineup, really, from filling some of the spots. Bring that same level of effort, bring that same level of energy you had in game 1, put game 2 behind you as quickly as you can, and get off to a strong fast-paced start.
Dave, you've been to basically every Stanley Cup final in the last 16, 17 years. From what you've seen and experienced, how much can a building affect a team and its performance, especially a home team?
Oh, it does. It absolutely does. And like my first Stanley Cup final was '08, Pittsburgh and Detroit when the Red Wings won. I've done every one since then, which kind of hurts now that I think about it because I'm getting old. But
you and me both, brother.
Yeah. But look, I remember the bubble and the year after that in 21 when only a handful of teams fans were allowed in the building. Like I was in Montreal when they played Tampa during the Cup final. There was only a select amount of people, I think it was 500 or 1,000, whatever it was, that were allowed in the building.
Right.
Talking to players each of those years, they talked about how impactful it is not having anyone in the building and how different it felt not having anyone in the building because you don't have that extra momentum on your side. These guys feed off of that energy. It's very, very, very important. And you see how, I think back, I had this discussion last night. The energy in, Joe Louis at the time and the Igloo in Pittsburgh at the time. I mean, those helped catapult the Penguins and Red Wings at those points. And that heightened their performance. And every year, Chicago, same deal.
Yeah.
Vegas last year against these Florida Panthers, winning at home. That was that level of energy really hyped up the crowd. So without question, there is no doubt in my mind the energy that the building produces, the players feed off of 10 times over, especially come playoff time and obviously in a cup final.
It's going to be wild in there tonight. All right, Paisan, I know you have your own pregame show to get to right away here. Just give us a sense of what's going to happen tonight between these teams.
Well, someone's going to win. That's the expert analysis that I'll provide for you right there. Groundbreaking. No, yeah. I think. Look, first of all, this is Edmonton's Game 7, without it being the Game 7, right? Like this is as close to a must-win as it's definitely a can't lose. It's in between can't lose and must win. So for me, that's how important this game is. Don't lose the game. And I think the Oilers will come out on top in this one. We'll see kind of obviously how the game evolves, obviously. But I think going into this one, I think with this fan base we just talked about it, the energy that they bring, and being home for that extra day, just to get your bearings, just to reclaim your bearings, in sleep in your own bed and be there with some of your family and whatnot, and be around the similarities of the building and everything. I've got the Edmonton Oilers kind of clawing back into this series and taking this one tonight.
Yeah, way to claw back some fans of the team, too, with that comment. Well done. That is a seasoned pro right there. Paisan, fantastic stuff. Thank you for hopping on tonight. Have a great show, and I'll see you in about an hour and a half, okay?
You got it. Sounds good, buddy.
All right, ciao, Bello. There's David Pagnotta from the fourth period. Excellent stuff from him. He's our Hello Hockey Insider every Saturday as well with Sean Bell and myself. And he's been providing great coverage, great insight, great analysis. I was going to ask him a little bit about Utah. We did get some news today about the Utah Hockey Club, YouTube, Trev, if you want to pop on. And we did get their uniforms. If you haven't seen, maybe Trev,
I'll snag them.
Get that?
I'll go snag
them. But yeah, you want to snag those first, and then we'll discuss. As I discuss, we'll get to them. And I'll get to some text as well, because this is just news outside of the game. We'll get to some audio as well from the teams. And then Cass will be joining us just after 5 o'clock as we get you set for game number 3 between the Oilers and the Panthers of this Stanley Cup Final. Like I said earlier, it is the first Stanley Cup Final game the Oilers play in Edmonton since June 17th, 2006. Edmonton defeating Carolina that night 4-0. Of course, we had the bubble Stanley Cup Final here. That was weird. That was different. Tampa Bay Lightning knocking off the Dallas Stars. And so I remember that game 6. Edmonton controlled that one in 2006 from the outset, and they dominated. They worked for their goals. They hustled. They beat Cam Ward 4 times. And then, UC Markkanen stood on his head. It was just a solid team effort, and that was a long time ago. So we'll see what the energy in the building's like in the new building compared to the old building. The old building, it seemed like that roof was going to pop off in 2006. We'll see what the building and the energy's like, if the Oilers give the fans a reason to cheer, and then we'll see if they can use that energy to help give them some momentum we'll see. And listen, it comes down to how the Oilers play. We know that they're not shooting the puck enough. They didn't in game 2. Game 1, all kinds of chances. A lot of people talking yesterday about how the Oilers started going more east-west than north-south, and the Panthers stuck with the north-south game. And we knew the Panthers were going to be sharper than they were in game 1, and they were. Edmonton still had a lead for a large chunk of that game 2, and ended up watching the Panthers slowly claw back the game and then eventually run away with it in the third period. So that's a harsh lesson to be learned, certainly. And we'll see if the Oilers can atone for their mistakes in game number 2. All right, text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well. Let's go to some lines really quickly, and then I'll get to some text, and then we'll go to that Utah news really quickly before we go into the Oilers locker room. All right, for the Oil, this is what we're anticipating tonight. McDavid with Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl with, what did we have? Was it Holloway and Henrique? No, you know what? We're going to scrap that because these lines are TBD. We just know this. Evander Kane, questionable. If he is not able to go, it'll be Corey Perry. And then we're anticipating Derek Ryan in for Matthias Janmark. Derek Ryan in for Sam Carrick with Matthias Janmark and Connor Brown. We will go over the lines again when we get to warm up. Because it's going to be interesting to see what Chris Knobloch does. You know what he said? He said, you'll have to see later tonight when he was asked about the lineup. So instead of playing the guessing game, we will do that. We will wait till the teams hit the ice for warm-up. As for the Panthers, we do have a better idea of what their lineup is going to look like. We're going to probably see Alexander Barkov back tonight, as Paul Maurice alluded to earlier, with Evan Rodriguez and Sam Reinhart. Sam Bennett with Carter Verhaeghe and Matthew Tkachuk. Anton Lundell with Eetu Luostarinen and Vladimir Tarasenko. Kevin Stenlund with Steven Lorentz and Kevin Cousins. And then on the back end, no changes there. Gustav Forsling with Aaron Ekblad, and then Nico Mikkola with Brandon Montour. Oliver Ekman-Larsson paired up with Dmitry Kulikov. That brings us to our starting goaltenders for the Oilers. 25-year-old Stu Skinner, 11-7 in this postseason, 251 GAA, 896 save percentage, 1 shutout in 18 playoff games in 2024. Lifetime in the postseason, Skinner, 16-13, 294 GAA, 891 save percentage, 1 shutout in 30 career games played in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And then at the other end of the rink, the Oilers have only solved him one time. It is 35-year-old Sergei Bobrovsky, 14-5 record, 202 goals against average, 916 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 19 playoff games in 2024. Lifetime Bobrovsky, 43-40 with a 281 goals against average, 907 save percentage, 3 shutouts in 89 games in his career in the postseason. All right, a couple of texts really quickly. 780-218-9999, and then get into the nasty chat. So Donnie M says, Tommy, best EST hangout ever. I have not laughed that hard in a long time. Nice you kept your composure while Alice could have thrown you guys seriously sideways. Accents were the best. Effing amazing. Thank you, Donnie. Yes, a big thank you to Jonathan Torrens and Alice Marin for stopping by. They were absolutely hilarious on the hangout today. Myself and Gager could barely contain our laughter. Let's go to Big Uke. Says Game 3, home ice. First time this barn has seen Stanley Cup Final hockey. Bubble doesn't count, says Big Uke. Let's make it memorable. Wear out that goal horn. Let's effing go, says Big Uke. And then Displaced You, Connor, texting in as well, says, well, biggest game of this group's careers tonight as a quote-unquote must win as it gets. We will see what they are made of. That building is going to be nuts. Keep those texts coming in. 780-218-9999. All right, YouTube. Trev, do you have the Utah Hockey Club
Yes,
uniforms?
I do. Here,
all right, here.
I'll send it over.
Set it up.
So it is a little bit of a small, it's a kind of an awkward photo. So you'll see it on the bottom right corner of Tommy's screen.
Yep. There it is.
But yeah, I mean, initial thoughts, like obviously they still need to get the whole logo and name figured out. But I mean, I like the colors. The color theme is good. I think they, I I like where this is trending. And I will say that with the last 3 teams that they've had, like the Vegas Golden Knights, like I'm talking about expansion teams. I love their jerseys. Seattle Kraken, I think they just did a tremendous job as well. And I like this is unique. There's not no other team has these colors really like together, right? So my initial thoughts, I like them, Tommy.
Okay, and the colors that they used, I think they said it's salt white, and then rock black, and then the baby blue. They have a clever name for it, but if you didn't see, it's the home jersey black base, Utah in big letters, descending from the right shoulder to the left hip, and in white lettering, and then white stripe with baby blue stripe around it. And then kind of flip the script on the away jersey. White base, obviously, baby blue collar with thick black stripe immediately surrounded by baby blue stripes as well. So not that creative, to be honest with you. Very apropos when it comes to Utah, and nothing too... People are giving it like praise, and I was just like, okay. I guess so.
Interesting, man. I'm loving it. I don't know. Like as far as the name, yeah, obviously that's pretty silly. But it works. And I'm just looking at the colors now. It is rock black, salt white, and mountain blue.
Mountain blue, yeah. Those are, don't get it confused with Mountain Dew. Anybody could have designed those uniforms, and if they paid anybody more than $20 to do it, that's a steal.
As far as like the design goes, it's pretty bland, but like I like the colors. Bland. Like the colors work.
Colors are great.
And that's where I think, like, I don't know, when I hear the word Yeti, those are the colors I think of. So I'd be surprised. I feel like they're trending towards that name.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the other league news today. Also, Alex Steen is going to take over as GM of the St. Louis Blues. All right, let's get back to game 3 here. Oilers and Panthers, do or die for the Oil. Basically, I know it's only game 3, but they're down 2-0. Let's go inside the Oilers locker room, and let's go to... Want to start with Chris Knobloch, Trev?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Here is Chris Knobloch.
You got some guys. We're 20 games into the playoffs here. It's almost a quarter season. Corey Perry has 0 goals. Warren Foegele has 1 goal. McLeod has 1 goal. I think Holloway has 3, but hasn't scored for a while. Do you need some help from the rest of your forwards, particularly your middle 6 wingers?
Yeah, I think you look at our top guys, and I think they've been carrying their weight. Leon and Connor and Zach and, Nuggy. We need some help throughout the lineup. Florida's obviously getting some scoring from their depth players. And we have a lot of good quality players in our depth positions that have not been producing offensively as much as they have in the regular season. I think there's more that they can. Connor and Zach and Nuggy. We need some help throughout the lineup. Florida's obviously getting some scoring from their depth players. And we have a lot of good quality players in our depth positions that have not been producing offensively as much as they have in the regular season. I think there's more that they can.
All right, that was Chris Knobloch. Trev, we can figure out that audio. Hey?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I don't know what's going on the last few times we've been doing the audio, but I will work on that and get back to you right away.
All right, sounds good. Keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. Matt Kassian about to join us in a few minutes' time. Get in on the nasty chat as well. Dusty Nielsen says that jersey that the Utah Hockey Club has Yeti dressed all over it, or screams of the Yeti team moniker. I like that name, to be honest with you. All right, let's go back inside the Oilers locker room. Do we have, you want to go to a player? Trev, I'll let you run that.
Yeah, let's go to Leon Draisaitl.
Okay.
Let's make sure. Should be good. Yeah, here is Leon Draisaitl ahead of tonight's Game 3 action.
I was talking yesterday about the power play, and I think you used the term road hockey, taking that kind of mentality to it. Maybe what does that look like for you, road hockey?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're obviously aggressive and, they trust their ability to skate and get back into position. So for us, it's about, being dynamic and moving the puck. And I think maybe simplifying a little bit as well. I think, we've had these stretches before in the past and we've always bounced back. So I'm confident that our group will.
Go front row left, Bob.
Leon, just a thought. Back at home here at Rogers Place, what are you expecting tonight in terms of just the atmosphere?
Yeah, I think it's going to be special. But we got to give them a reason to be special, right? We have to come out and put our game in order and find our game early and just be better really than last night. So excited to be back at home in front of our fans.
We'll go third row on the right, Derek.
Hey, Leon, how you doing?
Good.
Just want to ask you, yesterday Matthias Ekholm we were talking about Darnell being hurt and Evander being hurt, and Matthias Ekholm said, everyone's got something at this point. I guess you played 2 years ago on one foot. Just want to ask you about the grind and how everyone is trying to keep as healthy as possible, but it's just so hard when you're playing every other night.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of answered your own question there. It's just really hard to recover because you play every other night, right? There's not a lot of time for rest and a lot of injuries and a lot of the things that are going on. The only thing that helps is rest, and you just don't get that. So it's hard. I get a lot of respect for really everyone in the playoffs, everyone in the league, what everyone plays through. I've been there, unfortunately, and it's really hard, but things you do for the love of the game.
Front row on the right, Mark.
Speaking of love of the game, you guys have played playoff series, one in Pacific, two in Pacific time zone. You played Dallas and Central. Now you're playing an Eastern time zone team. Florida has played one time out of their time zone since late January. Is that an advantage for Florida, or is that an advantage now for Edmonton?
Probably the wrong guy to ask here, but I'm sure it plays a factor in some type of way. But when the game starts, your adrenaline kicks in and you're just playing the game. So I don't know how much the time change at that point in time really matters. Maybe your sleep rhythm a little bit, but not sure if it's a positive or a negative for either team.
Same row, Pierre.
Leon, can you talk about avoiding league discipline for your hit on Barkov? And again, if you've had a chance to look at it, what was your take on what you were trying to do there?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it. First of all, I think we all know that I'm not a player that plays with an intent to injure anybody by any means. I have no track record of that. I'm not a player that enjoys that part of the game, injuring other players or anything like that. I caught him in an unfortunate spot. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Can't stress it enough. I'm not someone that wants to or plays the game of hockey wanting to injure anybody.
We'll take a few more in English. Front left, Tony.
Morning, Leon. Of course, when you guys are entering the zone, Florida Panthers have 3 guys set on the blue line. Is it just a matter of attacking with more speed, or what other components need to be going right for your team to kind of break that?
Yeah, I think we just need to simplify a little bit. I think we got a little too cute with it last game. And obviously we have players that can create off the rush, but they're a very disciplined team in terms of, holding lines and F3 and staying tight on their gaps. So, we just have to find other ways and better ways to create some offense. Sometimes that's not directly off the rush.
2 more in English. Third row on the left.
There we go. Leon, I just wanted to get your thoughts on playing with Dylan Holloway. He's somebody who's been elevated up the lineup here with you for a lot of these playoffs. What do you think of his game and where it's kind of evolved throughout this season?
Yeah, I think he's been great. I think he's taken big steps, especially these playoffs. He's had some really, really good games, and You know, it's a great experience for a young kid, you know, to go through these moments, these high pressure moments, and he's handled it really, really well. He's a very mature kid, and you know, I think there's a lot more potential and a lot more for him to get to.
Last one, fourth row on the right.
Leon, this team has dealt with different challenges over the season. How do you feel that you guys have dealt with this challenge that you're currently under leading into this game tonight?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a big challenge. No, our backs are against the wall. There's no doubt about that. But that being said, we need to win one game at home. That's where our focus is at. Win one game and take it from there.
All right, that is Leon Draisaitl. He and the Oilers looking to get that offense going. Just the one goal so far this series. Draisaitl, 28 points in 20 playoff games in 2024. You heard him talking about the hit on Barkov. Doesn't look like Barkov is going to be affected or miss some time. We'll see if it probably didn't feel great, but they evaluated him. He practiced yesterday, traveled with the team, and will be in the lineup tonight, is expected to be in the lineup tonight for the Florida Panthers. And Draisaitl's right. He doesn't have a history of gooning it up, if you will. So we'll see if the Oilers continue the physical play and do it within the rules, or if they get a little bit nasty. It is something that is yet to be determined. All right, we got a couple of texts to get to. Keep them coming in. 218-9999. This one comes in. It says, I bought tickets to fly in for games 5, 6, 7 to be in the city for the atmosphere, praying I'm not out $500 and they don't get swept. Team will get her done. 4-3 in OT. Oilers win. Book it, or I might be screwed. That comes in from Quinner from Vancouver. Let's go to Mary. Hello, Twitter Mary. She says, it can still be Oilers in 6. Oilers in 6, she yells at us in all caps. And then this text says, Oilers win in 6. LFG. Collingwood Rob texting in says, I'm looking forward to tonight's game. Support the boys no matter what. The Oilers' home record this playoffs is excellent. Let's keep it up tonight. Collingwood Rob with that one. And Edmonton at home this postseason. We're going, what is their record, by the way, Tom? Well, I can tell you. Home record 6-3 this postseason. Road record 6-5. Florida, pretty good home and away. 8-3 at home. The Panthers on the road this playoffs 6-2. So no slouch on the road away from Amerant Bank Arena. All right. I see he's ready. We're going to get to him now. He's our game analyst. He's Matt Kassian. As we get set for Game Changers, let's get him on here. Hello, Cass. How you doing, buddy? You got the collared shirt going. You're ready to go. You had a fun 2 guys and a goalie. I know we enjoyed our hangout earlier today, but what's your mood going into game number 3 here?
Oh, what a hangout that was too. Just absolutely fantastic.
Wild.
A lot of fun. If you haven't checked it out, would be something. If you're looking to fill a little bit more time tomorrow, give yourselves a present and listen to the hangout with Tom Gazzola today. It was beautiful. Wonderful. Yeah, I'm good. I'm feeling really good. I'm not nearly as panicky or as nervous as some. There's a lot out there I know that have full on hit the panic button, that are freaking out, that are worried. Yep. And I kind of more feel like what generally seems to be the attitude of a lot of the Edmonton Oilers, in that they're like, well, yeah, you win at home here. This game 1, all of a sudden you're right back in the series. Now you lose, it's another story. The conversation I'm sure we'd be having post game will be very much different than the conversation we are having right now. But for right now, Tom, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling relaxed. I'm feeling excited. It's going to be a tremendous atmosphere, Tom. A lot of fun. The first time in a long time we've had Stanley Cup Championship Final hockey here in Edmonton, so it's going to be a blast. I'm ready. I'm ready for the buzz. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, obviously foregoing the bubble. It's funny and easy to disregard the bubble Stanley Cup, right? Like that. Yeah. That did not feel like a Stanley Cup. I was there for it. It was bizarre. That's how I would describe it. Very bizarre. But 18 years ago, almost to the day, June 17th, Cass, was that Game 6 win 4-0 against the Carolina Hurricanes. What do you remember from the Cup final? Because that would have been, were you drafted at that point? Were you still in the WHL?
Yeah, no, I was drafted. I was still in the WHL. Went back that year, but was drafted at that time. So I remember watching it with my dad and my brothers. Like that was a big thing. Getting to watch it with them. I had the opportunity to go. Was at that OT game against San Jose.
Yeah,
I managed to swipe some tickets from my dad, so my older brother and I went, and that was just a blast. And you've been drafted by another team at that point, but always an Edmonton fan, and you're always cheering for them, hoping they do well, even as you're playing in the league and playing in different places. But I just remember how fun it was, and I remember my brother being an idiot and going to White Ave multiple times, and me being like, "Nah, it's not for me. You go ahead. You go have your fun." And he went out a couple times when it got crazy. But Tom, I just remember the buzz and the excitement in my family and friends, and just the city in general, which is kind of where we're at now. It's I wouldn't say muted right now, but it's a panic buzz. It's a nervous buzz. But a lot of excitement as well, Tom. I remember how fun that was. Obviously ended up in disappointment. Hopefully that's not the direction we're going here. But Tom, it was a lot of fun back then, and it's going to be a lot of fun now.
Yeah, it was backs against the wall that last home Stanley Cup playoff game for the Oilers. They were down 3-2 in that situation. They were building up momentum, and they got the job done. We'll see if this edition of the Edmonton Oilers can do the same tonight. All right, Cass is with us. That means it is time for the funnest segment on the show, Game Changers with Matt Kassian, brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Damon Bunting, consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Western Canadian Remax realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Damon, community-driven, understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. We're talking about it being a bit of a jam and a bit of a pickle for the Oilers. And cast number one tonight on Game Changers is D Conundrum.
It is a D conundrum. Darnell Nurse looks like he's going to go. How healthy is he? We don't know. What happens if he gets bumped again and he can't play? Talking about it on the podcast earlier today, I was a fan of going 11-7. No, I don't think that's what's going to happen. It doesn't look like that's what's going to happen, but we will, I guess, see at the end of the day. But Darnell Nurse, a little bit of a conundrum here with a player that isn't or may not be at 100%. Obviously wasn't able to finish out the game. I'm assuming, my assumption, I said this on the podcast, is it's probably a hip pointer. Now, I've done that. That for those that aren't aware, they're very, very painful right when they happen. You can't really push basically right where your pelvis is on your hip. The muscle that runs right along there. There's a bunch of nerves. There's a muscle there, and you can't really push or pull your leg. Now, if you are able to get it worked on for a couple days, if you freeze it, for example, you might be able to play and play normally. If the nerves settle down enough there. Now, if that's what it is, I guess I don't know for sure. Just based on the play and the way it looked, where he hit on his hip, the way he grabbed it, that's what my assumption was. But what version of Darnell Nurse are we going to get here? Are we going to get a Darnell Nurse that is playing, not that he ever plays timid, but that plays more sitting back versus on his toes and aggressive? Are we going to get the Darnell Nurse that is trying to do too much, maybe because he's not able to move as well as he normally does? Or are we going to see, the post being called out by the media, angry, nasty, vicious to play against Darnell Nurse, who does actually excel at playoff hockey when he plays that way, because he can be a very effective playoff defenseman. We don't really know what version of Darnell Nurse we're going to get, or if we even ultimately get him at all. We're going to find out. But a little bit of a conundrum for Knobloch on the D standpoint to make some decisions. Now, we've seen him make some decisions and some gutsy decisions before in the playoffs. It may be a gutsy decision to play Darnell Nurse, or the gutsy decision may to be not to play Darnell Nurse. Actually, we're probably going to call it, depending on how the game goes. I guess that's really what's going to tell us and where we're really going to evaluate. But a big decision on the defensive side of the puck in a group that needs to hold it together. And Tom really needs to not make those big mistakes tonight.
Yeah, I would say that Darnell Nurse has done anything but excel in these playoffs this year. So far through 20 games, -15, 3 assists with 8 penalty minutes. It has been a struggle. But in years past, Cass, you're right. He has been a much better, more effective, positive player in the postseason, and we have not seen that version of Darnell Nurse. Would it have been better, more wise, to go with a healthier Cody Ceci and then make sure that either Broberg or Kulak slides back to the left side, because those two have been playing steady hockey, giving you good minutes, as opposed to forcing Darnell Nurse in there at a reduced health. I don't know what percentage of health he's at, but I thought to myself, you need healthy bodies in there. I know CC isn't great or hasn't had a particularly strong postseason, but I would rather have the healthy guy as opposed to the guy who's really banged up and not giving me anything this playoffs.
Yeah, I lean that way as well, which is why I'd be a fan of going to the 11-7. But Darnell Nurse, regardless of how he's played, he's one of the leaders in the team. You know, Leon's going to want him in. Connor's going to want him in. And if Darnell wants to be in and says he's good to go, he's probably going to be in the lineup. You're not going to be able to force him out. So as to which direction, you know, whether to have him play or to have him not play, I mean, I guess they're both gutsy. I mean, it's a gutsy call either way. You got to steal your gut a little bit on it. And to me, the less gutsy is to have 7 defensemen available in case he can't. You know, to me, that's maybe ideal. But I don't think that's the direction they're going to go. So we'll see here, Tom. Like, I will truly, as everyone will be able to tell you after the game, was it the right decision? Was it the wrong decision? You know, and there's going to be people before the game right now who are going to land on either side of that to say that it's probably the wrong decision or it's probably the right decision. Like, it's going to divide people in their opinions. And again, I lean towards, well, you can kind of hedge it by having 11 forwards and 7 defensemen, because if Darnell goes down and you only went with 6 and now you have 5, that's a lot tougher than, you know, all of a sudden having 11 forwards or even going 11 forwards down to 10 forwards. Like, you can still roll 3 lines and get enough players in that you could do what you need to do and have enough bodies to get you through it, where it gets a little bit tougher on defense, particularly if you take penalties or there's a lot of penalties in the game and a defenseman takes a penalty. Now you have 4 and it's like you're constantly rolling them out. Someone gets stuck out, let's say for a long shift on the penalty kill, and all of a sudden you're having to roll them right back out there again. It just, to me, there's a little bit more risk doing it that way. But if Darnell's good, if he's ready, and if he is healthy enough to give you a really good game, well, maybe that's the easy decision. But we're not privy to that because, you know, we're not talking with a therapist, we're not talking with the doctors, and we're not sitting in those meetings.
It is Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian, Tom Gazzola with you, YouTube Trev, as well as we roll along. Text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat. I've got a few texts coming in that I want to get to shortly. Okay, I know before we get to point number 2, Cass, this kind of extends from Darnell Nurse, the Evander Kane situation. It sounds like there's some discussion that Kane is likely out and that Corey Perry will go in. Is it the same type of thing? Like, if this guy's banged up, why are you even bothering? And he had that long conversation. I got a bit of video on it yesterday. A lot of people trying to speculate what was being said. What do you make of this situation with Evander Kane, who's clearly in severe discomfort now?
Well, that's the thing, is he's in severe discomfort, and we know it's athletic pubalgia. I have had that, and it was probably more severe than what he's had. You know, we had to shut down after 3 games and have surgery. It took me 10 minutes, just for perspective. It took me 10 minutes to get out of bed. Jeez. Now, if he's half of that, like if it takes him 5 minutes to get out of the bed in the morning to try to flex your abs, to pull yourself up, like where you're kind of trying to move and wiggle with your elbows to get where you can tip and sit up and holding your breath the entire time, it sucks. It really sucks. And it's a core injury, which means for a player that needs to play physical, that needs to hit, everything gets harder to do. You're holding your breath often when you're on the ice, so you're not breathing like you normally would. So you're not getting the oxygen that your body needs. Everything is tough. And that, you know, for a player like Evander Kane that needs to play that high tempo, physical, involved, engaged game, it's just more and more difficult to do so. So it's hard. I mean, I feel bad for him. You know, here's a player that's hurt, that wants to play, that wants to be out there, that wants to help. And your body might just be saying no. And the play is kind of followed from that, where you're watching him play and you're going to go like, he's hurting. He is hurting, and he wants to do it, but freezing and painkillers aren't going to cut it. You know, a day or 2 of treatment isn't going to cut it at this point. So most likely will come out of the lineup, and you feel bad for him because, again, he hasn't been able to do what he wants to do. And, you know, as for Knobloch sitting and talking with him, well, yeah, you're going to have a conversation with the guy and say, hey, like, we want you out there too. It's a challenge right now. You're banged up, you're hurt. We need to win a hockey game. We have to go with someone else. And that's a hard conversation to have. It's hard to hear as a player that wants to be out there. It's hard as a coach that wants that player out there and that wants him to be able to be there and contribute, but he's just not at a point right now, it seems anyways, like he's able to do that. So it's a tough situation, tough for him, but that's sports, that's hockey. There's injuries. You have to deal with things. You saw it last year in the playoffs with Matthew Tkachuk, where, he was hurt and he got a game, but he wasn't playing that many minutes and he wasn't as effective as he normally would be. And you got to shut him down. And that is a hard decision to make, again, as a team, as a coaching staff, hard to see as a teammate. But that is most likely just the reality of where Evander Kane is from a health standpoint at this time.
Yeah, last year it was a broken sternum, I believe, for Matthew Tkachuk. That sounds like a horrendous injury. And athletic pubalgia, which you have gone through, Cass, took you surgery to get better. Does not sound like any fun as well. People asking, what is the lineup? TBD. We just know that Kane is probably questionable, and we'll see if Darnell Nurse is good to go. We're anticipating Nurse playing, Kane potentially out. If Kane is out, sounds like Corey Perry would come in, but Chris Knobloch would not divulge much into his lineup. He said you're going to have to wait to see for warm-up, and we're a few minutes, about 20 minutes away from warm-up, and when the teams hit the ice, we will definitely update you on that. All right, 780-218-9999. If you've got any questions for Cass, fire those our way. It is Game Changers. Number one was Dean Conundrum. We ended up talking about the injuries to Nurse and Kane. Number two, Cass, 1, 2, 3 PP. Let's go. This thing has been struggling.
Now they've had some opportunities, hit some posts. There have been some looks there, but haven't found a way to put the puck in the back of the net. And in a series where in the first two games you scored one goal, you need your power play. Now there's been a ton of talk, and we've talked at length about it as well, about the pressure of the Florida Panthers. Now they're not doing any weird, unique systems. They just play a very high pressure game, and they play it well on the pound to kill. They do it as a group of four. They've had a lot of success with it, and we've talked about it, and I'm going to talk about it here again. Talked about it on the Two Guys in a Goalie podcast. But the way to me you beat that is you have to execute your first three passes when you have possession cleanly. You have to execute them cleanly. That doesn't mean in three passes you generate a scoring chance, but in three passes, if you can execute them cleanly, move it around the horn, we call it. So move it around the top, move it across the blue, slide over, move it down. You have the ability to start to open up and get some of those looks and some of those opportunities. You buy a foot or 2 feet of space for Evan Bouchard to let that Bouch bomb go. And that's what you want to see. You want to see quick movement, and you want to see shots immediately, early in the power play, early in the hockey game, something they just haven't done. But Tom, the execution on the first couple passes hasn't been there. Now, when they've made them, there's been bobbles. It's been handcuffing players in their feet with a rolling puck, hasn't been clean. Now, maybe some of that we could attribute to the ice not being very good in Florida. No excuses on that end here today at home in Edmonton with a good ice. So have to move that puck, have to move it well, execute on those first couple passes, get that power play going. Because Tom, that could, in all reality, be the difference tonight, which would be, potentially the difference between being down in the whole 3-0, which is incredibly, incredibly difficult to come back from, as opposed to being down 2-1, which is, a lot more palpable and in a situation we've seen Edmonton be in and come back and win a series before.
Cass, 1, 2, 3 PP is the theme for point number 2 right now, but 5-on-5 or even strength, how about just generating some momentum, creating offense? Are there some things you're seeing that the Oilers can do, need to do to try to get a little bit more zone time and get better opportunities on Sergei Bobrovsky? Because that hasn't really been happening much, especially last game.
Yeah. Well, it starts from the defensive zone, and you saw a lot of the interviews and the players talk about it. That first pass, I think it was Kulak that was talking about having a better first pass, getting the team up ice quickly, forcing Florida to take the puck away from you instead of just throwing it away in the offensive zone. Now, when they've had offensive zone possession, that's been the issue, is that one extra pass, trying to go cross ice for the one-timer, and, Ekblad gets a stick on it. Montour gets a stick on it. Like that's what they've been running into. And how do you clean it up? Well, it's cliche and it sounds so simple, which is why it's cliche. And everyone's like, oh, it's really cliche. But shoot the bloody puck, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, don't force plays. Take the plays that are there and shoot the puck and get bodies to the net. That's it. Shoot the puck, get bodies in the net. Game 2, there was no traffic. Zero traffic around Bobrovsky. Everything was a pretty play, trying to go through, looking for the perfect, unicorn rainbow goal. But it wasn't there, hasn't been there, and probably will continue to not be there. So get the bloody puck to the net, shoot the pill when you've got it, get bodies to the net, crash the net, make Bobrovsky's job difficult because you haven't done it, or at least in game 2, you didn't do it. You had some opportunity in game 1. Game 2, you didn't do it. You have to get back to that today. Get pucks to the net. When the opportunity is there, take the opportunity. And if someone's going to block it, make it hurt. Make it hurt when it blocks. For Evan Bouchard, if they're going to block it, make it hurt when they block it. Break a toe, break an ankle. And not that I want to see anyone get hurt, but make it difficult for people to want to be in the lane or to stand in the lane. If those opportunities are there. But Tom, the forwards have to be more involved in getting the puck to the net. It's not just the defenseman getting it through. That hasn't been the only issue. The issue has been forwards trying to get too cute instead of just saying, I'm going to put the puck to the net. We're going to have bodies crashing the net. We're going to try to generate some garbage here. We're going to try to find some loose change and put in a greasy goal.
Garbage goals count just the same as the pretty ones, Cass. That's something that I know some people don't appreciate, but at the end of the day, they don't ask how, they ask how many, and it doesn't matter how that damn thing crosses the line as long as it goes all the way over. It's a goal. All right, it is Game Changers with Matt Kassian, our game analyst, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting. Remax Elite number 1 was D Conundrum. Number 2, 1, 2, 3 power play. Number 3 tonight, Cass, heading into Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. Take care of business.
That's the bottom line, Tommy. Got to take care of business at home. You got to take care of business at home. You do not, you didn't want to go down 2-0 in the series, but you definitely don't want to go down 3-0 losing this first game at home. That would be, again, I'm probably hitting the panic button, as most people probably will and probably should after the game, if that were to be the case. Bottom line, Tom, is you need to be the better team today. You need to be the better team today, from top to bottom, from goaltending to defense to forwards to special teams. You have to be the better team today, Tom. You got to take care of business, do what you have to do your job, know your role, play how you need to play to be successful. And Tommy, you need to put the puck in the net, and you have to win a hockey game. Got to take care of business. That's the bottom line, Tom. You're going to have the crowd behind you. There's going to be a lot of emotion. There's going to be a lot of excitement. There's going to be that extra boost of adrenaline. So ride with it, roll with it. Don't squeeze the stick. Just go out and do your job. Take care of business.
Hey, Cass, speaking of that, talking to everybody that was in Florida to start this series, media, players, all that stuff, it's a huge deal, obviously, in North America. It was a big deal down there, but logistically, you've been to that arena. You've been to Fort Lauderdale, and it's 25 minutes this way, 25 minutes that way. It's really spread out. Here, everything is, the hub is right inside the arena and the district, and it just feels like all the attention, all that energy is just focused on this building and this part of the city. I live right across the street from it. This is where the satellite studio is, and I can feel it. I can feel it right now. I'm walking around, and it's crazy. There's people lining up at 2:00 to get into the moss pit. You got Our Lady Peace playing tonight. You have Shania Twain playing right outside the arena Saturday night. How do you think these guys are dealing with this? Because this isn't just like a big Saturday night. This is the Stanley Cup Final in your backyard, and everybody's watching. The numbers for TV viewers is way up this year, and they keep hitting us with these stats every game. How do you block it all out, Cass? Because this feels different. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yep. Well, I think it was Stuart Skinner that said, he's not watching a lot of news right now. He's playing Mario Kart. and that's kind of it. You're avoiding being in the middle of the buzz. For most guys. Now, some guys, they feed off of that. They love it. They really enjoy it. And so they'll, we'll call it dabble in the buzz in being out and around. But for most, it's like, well, you're just trying to focus and you're trying to quiet, and you're not paying attention to the concert. You're not paying attention to the buzz, as it were. You're just trying to focus on you. And again, just take care of business. Now, different players going to respond to it differently, but you feel the pressure. I think there's additional pressure, and you feel it. As you said, Tom, I think as a player, you can feel the energy in the building. You can feel the buzz in the air, like the large group energy like that. It's a real thing. It exists and it happens, and you can feel it and you can tap into it. And for a player, you have to let it push you in the right direction mentally, from a focus standpoint, from an energy standpoint, from an adrenaline standpoint. You can't have it just make you scared and nervous. You want it to, you want to trigger the fight or flight a little bit, but on the fight side in a positive way, just to push you and to drive you. Cause it is big. It is a buzz. I mean, everywhere you go downtown, it's, in the elevator, when I'm doing my big boy job, it's people are all wearing Oilers jerseys and everyone's talking about it and having a conversation about it. And it's everywhere, which is great. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about being in this situation. And as a player, I mean, you're trying to block out a lot of it, which is okay. Again, there's some that maybe are like, it really, really enjoy that. And they draw from that. And so for those guys, I mean, it's being engaged enough with it to pull that energy while maintaining your focus.
It's so cool. It's so unique, and you want to be in the moment, absolutely. But those guys have a job to do, certainly. Cass, what kind of hockey game do you think we're going to see tonight?
Yeah, I think you're going to see the better from both teams, where you're going to see a similar game from Florida, and you're going to see a better game from Edmonton. So it'll be maybe the first game in the series where we have two teams that are playing not necessarily at their absolute best, although I kind of hope it, but where two teams play well, and we'll have to see who comes out on top.
Hey, I have one more to throw at you. As a guy who appreciates science and all of that goes into the game, they have dehumidifiers that they've brought in, like the big pipes and tubes and stuff like that you usually see in hot climate, Sunbelt arenas and cities. And apparently they turned them on for the first time going into this game, which I thought was interesting considering there's misters in the ceiling of Rogers Place to pump humidity in for the majority, essentially all of the season. Now they're trying to suck it out.
Yeah.
Does that have an effect? Like, you played in Houston, you played in warmer climates. Like, what do you make of that?
Well, that's generally an issue when you're playing in Texas, when you're playing in Florida, playing in California, like where you'll have more humidity.
Yeah.
And then usually the goal is to get it out. But I mean, from an ice standpoint, the caretakers and everyone looking after it's going to look at the humidity in the building and say, we're in a situation now, it's not typical to be playing hockey in June. Now it is June, and it's not like we have the completely dry winter weather where it's like everyone in their house is running humidifiers and all that to try to get it out. You're trying to take some of the humidity out and keep it at its normal level. So the whole objective of that, normally you have the misters, which is just to get it to where the ice is really good, and Rogers Place has great ice typically, to keep it at the level where you want it. And now it's just a flip side. So as you said, Tom, it's a science of it. I don't know what that percentage is, where they're like, hey, this is the ideal percentage for ice, but they're going to have their target. That's what they're using the dehumidifiers for. Again, hopefully for Edmonton's power play, maybe a little bit less slushy ice and a little bit less humidity will bode well for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, and we have had our fair share of precipitation and moisture in and around the city over the past couple of weeks. Cass, fantastic work as always, my friend. I look forward to catching up with you on the post-game show. We'll see what happens tonight in Game 3.
We'll see what happens. It will be exciting either way, buddy. Look forward to talking to you then.
Good stuff, brother. All right, that is Matty Kassian, our game analyst, with Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Looking to buy or sell our home? Visit DamonBunting.com or visit him on Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. D Conundrum was number 1. 1, 2, 3 Power Play was number 2. And Take Care of Business was number 3 for Cass on Game Changers. All right, YouTube Trev, we haven't seen you yet. How you doing, buddy? We haven't heard from you in a while either. You all right? You surviving?
I'm good. Yep, I'm good. Tommy, how's it going?
There you
go. As when I was hearing the Misters, the only thing I could think of was the Mr. lady off of Happy Gilmore. Mister. Yeah, exactly. I was like, what is he talking about?
Get me out of here.
Like that. Yeah, get me out of here. I was like, oh, like the Misters. So that's interesting to hear that. But Tommy, you know what? I'm good. I'm feeling pretty good today. I just noticed that Connor McDavid, he's wearing a black suit tonight. So he's changing his suit for the first time in 5 games. So we'll see if that has an effect on the game. If you're superstitious, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But yeah, no, I think I'm good. Still looking for the lineup changes. I've been refreshing my Twitter just because it's good to know. So we'll get those to you as soon as we see them. But yeah, I don't know, Tommy. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this is gonna be pretty cool. Like, game 1 and 2 were, it was obviously not the outcome that we would have liked, I guess. But I mean, just this is what made me a fan. This is what drew me in, was the 06 run. Just watching videos of just game 1 or whatever the first game was, when they had Ron McLean and Don Cherry just talking about it. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy. And then you just hear the fans; they were just so loud. And so it's about that time. Like, we're 30 minutes away here, and man, I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about the atmosphere and what it's going to be like, the whole city, everything. So it's pretty cool. I will say, win or lose, obviously the win would be ideal, but I'm just gonna take it all in tonight, because these don't come often. So I'm pumped. I'm really pumped for the game tonight, Tommy.
First Oilers Stanley Cup Final game on home ice since June 17th, 2006. Edmonton to claw its way back into this series as the Florida Panthers lead it 2-0. Trev, let's go back into the Oilers locker room. I will let you choose who we hear from next.
Yeah, okay, that's good, Tommy. You know what? Leon Draisaitl had a lot to say about this guy, and I liked what he has done thus far in the playoffs. Can he add to that tonight? You never know. Let's go to Dylan Holloway now.
Come by, you, the whole team, in the series so far. Really, how close are you? What's the line now to get from not scoring to scoring?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously tight out there. Teams are checking hard. Their D are playing well. Goalie's playing well. So I think the big thing is just kind of crashing that, get as many pucks as you can on net, and hopefully one trickles in. But yeah, just can't let the confidence get away. Just got to keep shooting, keep playing confident, and try to make plays.
Can you compare what it's like out there right now compared to January in the regular season or February in the regular season? Like, how much more is going on out there now?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely ramped up quite a bit. Obviously, both teams know what's at stake here, and games are physical, games are tight. Everyone's playing defensively hard, and it's the little mistakes that kind of cost you. So, everybody's playing a safe game, and it's pretty tight out there. But I think with our team speed, I think we can do some damage here at home.
What things has Leon Draisaitl said to you since you've started playing with him here in the playoffs, and how's he sort of helped you along? What advice has he given you?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things he's told me is it is tight out there, but you have more time than you think. Like, if you just hold on to it just for a split second more, things start to open up. So it's kind of natural to get the puck, see a guy coming, and just try and get rid of it. But if you hold that extra second, extra half a second, usually something opens up. So I mean, that's one thing he's so good at, is getting the puck and looking up, and no matter who's on him or what's going on, how much chaos is going on, he always seems to make a play. So that's been a big thing that he's been trying to help me with.
Dylan, how excited are you to be hosting a Stanley Cup Final game here in front of these fans?
Yeah, it's going to be unbelievable. I can't wait. Our fans are the best in the league, and the energy they bring and the atmosphere in the rink, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like tonight. So I'm super excited for it, and I think our fans will be cheering loud.
Do you get nervous at all?
Not at home. At home it feels great, because anything you do, they start cheering. So you hit someone, you chip the puck out of the zone, they start cheering. So it makes you feel good.
When you're facing a goaltender at the top of this game, and the elite goaltender that Sergei Bobrovsky is, what's the recipe and beauty for Sergei?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I don't think we've been just getting enough shots on him. I think last game was a testament. Like, he's obviously a great goalie, but if we pepper him with shots, get guys in the net, traffic to the net, it's hard for goalies to stop that. So I think that's just the biggest thing we're focused on now.
How much have you guys maybe talked about maybe not passing up some of these opportunities, because you guys have had a couple of opportunities where you could have shot, and you guys are likely to do?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely been a little too selective. I think it's it's kind of just a numbers game. The more you throw on the net, the better chance of one going in. So I think that's definitely a focus for us to get more shots.
Do you want to stay in the moment, but are you able to step back a little bit and soak this in?
Yeah, trying to. I mean, everything's happening so fast, and I mean, the playoffs have flown by, but it also feels like they've been going on for a while now. So just try and kind of go day by day, and then try and focus on just the game at hand.
The veteran teammates that have been here before. How do you lean on them in these moments to help you? And a lot of new things happening this time of year.
Yeah, 100%. We've had guys that have gone through this whole process, and we got a guy in the team who won Stanley Cup. So guys know what it takes, and I think any little questions we have, or sometimes if the guys are feeling down after a game or anything, we got veteran leadership in this room, and guys are saying all the right things to kind of keep us focused, keep us confident, and just know that we can be the best team if we play our game.
All right, there is Dylan Holloway. He is expected to play alongside Leon Draisaitl tonight. We are waiting on warm-up for lines and lineups. I know some people are saying, hey, they're up. No, nothing is confirmed until after warm-up, so that's how we will go about it. When the teams hit the ice, we will tell you how the team is rolling out, the Oilers specifically in terms of lines, and then we'll give you the Panthers lines as well, and then the teams put in their final roster to the league for the game on the game sheet. That is the process. All right, let's go back inside the Oilers locker room. I think we've got Brett Kulak, don't we, Trev?
Yes, we do, Tommy.
Okay, let's go to Brett Kulak and hear from the local product getting set to play his first Stanley Cup Final game in Edmonton as a member of the Edmonton Oilers.
How does it give you adrenaline and pump you up, or how it can impact you when you come home in this situation?
Yeah, I think it's helped us all playoffs long. Our crowd's definitely another level, a step above the rest of the buildings we played in. So, anytime you make a small play and they cheer, they understand the game, and it helps that way too, that they know that the little plays are meaningful, and they can get up and they cheer for things like that, like a big penalty kill or whatever, a good ozone shift. Like, you don't always have to score to get them on their feet, for sure. So it definitely helps us a lot.
Right, your head coach and Leon talked about simplifying your game. What areas of your game do you feel like you need the most?
Yeah, I think for the most part we've done a decent job in the breakouts, so I think just keep building on that. That's a foundation for us. You want to break the puck out well, and then just coming through the neutral zone and sustaining some offensive time and wear them down in their D zone. So I think maybe more of that, just not trying to deke or make the hard play through two guys or whatever. Just wear them down and hang on to pucks and make them work to get it back. So I think that's a big part for us.
Brett, you grew up in this area. Like, have you fantasized about this moment playing a Stanley Cup Final game in your hometown? Like,
yeah.
Have you thought about that before?
Yeah, as a kid, it's think about it a lot, and since I was a kid too. Your whole career, you think about moments like that. Probably almost every day this season, you think about our chance or potential for the cup, and how everyone shows up every day, putting the work in practice, and that's where you want to go. I think it's on everyone's mind, but for me, especially being my hometown team, growing up cheering for the Oilers, it's definitely really special for me to be a part of this.
Did you go to games during the 06 run?
I didn't make it to any playoff games then. No.
Brett, you guys have been through several obstacles this season. How do you think the team's dealing with the obstacle you're facing right now leading into tonight's game?
Yeah, I guess we don't know for sure until puck drops and we get after it. But like you say, we can lean on some experience we've had through not only regular season, but also there's been some big moments in the playoffs where we've had to step up at critical times to keep our series alive and advance on. So I think we lean on those experiences, and it helps us be a little more composed and know what we need to bring tonight.
Brett, it goes without saying that the margin for error decreases as the season goes on. Is there a moment that you can maybe recollect in the opening 2 minutes where you're like, okay, we can't make any mistakes against this team?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we've played, especially game 1, we played really well, and in game 2, we were chasing the game a little bit. So I think it's more so that come and control the play and play our game right from the drop of the puck.
But I want to ask about the grind of the playoffs. You're playing every other night. Everyone's got something according, like if something's bothering everyone. So what's it been like, the grind, and just how do you kind of try and keep as fresh as you can, as healthy as you can when you play the other day?
Yeah, everyone's different. Everyone's, like you say, dealing with different things, and you kind of manage accordingly. Sometimes guys are missing practice because the body feels better the next day if you do that, or sometimes you need a little extra work. But yeah, I think it's comes down to the individual, and that's why we got a really good medical staff on board, and probably they're elite staff, and it helps a lot. So they know how to treat each player and how to manage them.
All right, there was Brett Kulak, the kid from Stony Plain, discussing another Stanley Cup final that he is taking part in. Obviously, a member of the Canadiens a few years ago, losing in the Cup final. All right, we do have a quick update. Lineup-wise, the teams have hit the ice for warm-up. David Pagnotta, who was on the show earlier, off the top, says Kane and Carrick are out for Edmonton. Perry and Ryan are in, and we've also seen Darnell Nurse is taking part in warm-up. What else do we have? So Kane will be scratched. Perry, Derek Ryan, Darnell Nurse, and Cody Ceci are all on the ice. That coming in from Stephen Wino, our good friend from the Associated Press, their hockey writer and Caps beat writer, who is in town for the Cup final. So one more time, Noah Vander Kane, he's out tonight. Probably a good thing considering how banged up he is. Corey Perry, Derek Ryan, Darnell Nurse, and Cody Ceci are all on the ice when the teams go through their line rushes. We will post and actually update you on what's happening there. All right, we're going to go inside the locker room one more time. I think we have Vinny Desharnais. Trev?
Yes, we do, Tommy. Let's go to Vinny Desharnais.
Beautiful.
He needs a lot to be sidelined, but he's a great leader for us on and off the ice. He's gonna eat some big minutes. He's great. He's great on the PK. He's gonna eat some pucks. He's not afraid to sacrifice. But hopefully he'll be good to play tonight.
Absence make game 2 to deal with when you're rolling 5 defensemen, and given the minutes he plays, for all of you guys have extra workload as a result.
Yeah, I think obviously when he was, we're not sure if he could play or not, and first of all it sucks because we need him to play, but then after that it's to the 5 of us to step up and to be ready to take more responsibilities.
Vinny, when it comes to the simplification of your guys' game and executing the game plan, what areas of the game do you feel like you need to simplify the most?
I think through our neutral zone, I think it's going to be a big area of just keeping it simple, putting it deep, making their G-men turn. I don't think we've done that enough in game 1 and 2, especially in game 2. That's simplifying it. Is just trying to build some momentum for the other line, trying to put pucks on net with traffic in front of their net. Just creating chaos, creating momentum for us. It's pretty simple, but I think we just have to do it starting with the first shift and see where that brings us.
When it comes to beating Serbia with Brovsky playing at the level he is it just a matter of putting more pucks on net, or what need you more?
Well, it's putting more pucks on net with traffic. I think he's such a good goalie. If we just put pucks on net, he's going to stop it every time. I think it's very important to have traffic, to have screens, to have tips, to just create chaos, create rebounds, and from there we'll be able to get 1 or 2 like that, and then that's how we're going to build momentum. That's how we're going to build our offensive confidence.
Awesome. Tommy, it's back to you. Sorry about that.
All right, that was Vinny Desharnais. It's back. Okay, we're good to go. All right, Vinny Desharnais there speaking. The Oilers on the ice for warm-up, and Noah Vander Kane. Darnell Nurse is out there, and we're expecting Derek Ryan and Corey Perry to play. Cody Ceci also taking warm-up. I have not seen anything in terms of line rushes just yet. YouTube, Trev, have you seen anything? Because if we do, when we do, we'll pass that along your way, but nothing yet.
Yeah, I as well have not seen anything.
Okay, so we do know Kane's out. He's not skating. Nurse is taking warm-up, as is Carrick. Carrick's out. Ryan and Perry are taking warm-up. So too is Cody Ceci and Darnell Nurse. So there you go. We will see what the eventual lineup looks like. We're waiting updates in regard to line rushes. All right, we've heard a lot from the Oilers. They are playing the Florida Panthers. They're trying to catch up in this series. We should go to the Panthers side of things, and we will go to the Panthers side of things. Let's start things off, Trev. Do you think we could do Paul Maurice? You want to start there?
Of course, Tommy.
Okay, let's do that. We'll go to Paul Maurice, head coach of the Florida Panthers.
Tarasenko and Barkov, both good to go?
Yes, sir.
And then Evan Rodriguez back up on the top line. Obviously, he played there earlier in the year, last game as well. Just he can do a lot of things. What do you like about how he fits on that top unit?
Well, I like where Evan's game has changed over the course of the year. When he came in and he played with Sasha and Sam, it was good, especially analytically. They were a really good line. And then we had a bunch of injuries and we started to move people around a little bit. And then the line that he hadn't played with was Bennett and Tkachuk, and by necessity he needed to go there, and that was really good for us for a while. But eventually the idea would be, I like him in one of two places as much or better than with the Bennett and Tkachuk line. I also like Matthew back on the right. So I think I had that in my head, that I would really look at that coming into Game 3, even if I didn't adjust it then. I just thought in Game 2 we were kind of right there. We weren't far off. Kind of that offensive games that made the flip, and 9 out of those 10 that never work. And every once in a while they work, and you run around and tell everybody about them.
Third row right, Sean.
Aaron Ekblad said of your team's ability to seemingly get stronger as series goes on. He said all the credit goes to you and your coaching staff, all the stuff that you bring them. I'm interested in your take on this team, or your description of them in their ability to take all that information that your coaching staff brings to them and apply it under such duress and circumstances.
Well, it was very nice of Aaron to say that. I didn't think he was listening. I don't know the answer to that, because we work really, really hard at making things as simply as possible, and that as simple as possible. And it's not because your players can't process it at all. What's that quote? And I'm going to butcher it again. You don't understand something unless you can explain it simply, which ruins this answer. But we're trying to give them the most important things, and that would be what we work fairly hard at. If you've got 10 fires, the only thing that's important about that is you order number 1 to 3 right and deal with those, because usually fire 4 through 10 puts itself out. So try to get to the important things as quickly as you can, and explain them as simply as you can.
Right side front row, Ryan.
Hey, Paul. Their power play is obviously going to make adjustments. It always happens. Is there any way to try and stay ahead of whatever adjustments might be made? Do you look back at past dry spells and things they've tried, and how deep is the dive in trying to stay ahead of this particular chess game?
I think both power plays probably feel the exact same way about each other. Like ours are pretty good. Ours is pretty good too. So we're trying to find that. How do we get this thing sped up? How do we create a little bit more? But at no point are we going, okay, we've always done this and we've been really good at it, but now we're going to do this way over here. There's not as many adjustments as I think, I believe, in hockey or maybe pro sports, but as in true adjustments where you take something that you've done and now we're going to do something different. There's far more time is spent on a return to form. When we're good, we look like this. These are the reasons that we don't look like this. Both teams' penalty kills are almost, there's different routes in one area, but other than that, the philosophy and attitude, I think they're identical. It would be exactly what we experienced in New York, right? Same kind of hyper-aggressive penalty kill, lots of defensemen with long sticks, good skaters. So we're trying to do the same thing. We're just trying to maybe think of it more of a return to form, get back to what you're really good at, and put all your money on that.
At the same roast.
All right, that was head coach of the Florida Panthers, Paul Maurice. He would go on for like 8 more minutes, and we didn't want to put you through that. We do have lines for you for tonight's game. Text us 780-218-9999. Your thoughts as well as a nasty chat. Keep doing your thing. From our boy Jack Michaels, McDavid between Nugent Hopkins and Hyman, Draisaitl centering McLeod and Perry, Henrique between Janmark and Brown, Derek Ryan in. And he will be centering Dylan Holloway and Warren Fogle. That looks like balance to me as I take my first look through that line combination setup. On defense, no changes outside of CC back in, Desharnais out. Ekholm paired up with Bouchard, Nurse with Broberg, Kulak with CC. What say you? Skinner between the pipes, obviously, for the Oilers. Trev, your thoughts on this lineup?
This is interesting, Tommy. I was not expecting.
Yeah,
I was not expecting that. But yeah, it looks like they're going for depth right now. I don't mind Holloway on the fourth line. I like. Obviously, he's going to get his chances with Leon Draisaitl, but he's going to be playing against lesser opponents on the fourth line. So I don't mind that. And at times, Warren Foegele and Holloway, right? They play with speed and they're playing with a veteran guy. So I don't mind the looks there. For the third line, Matthias Janmark, Connor Brown. Again, I think you're playing those two have played fairly well in the playoffs, and going into tonight's game, you're giving them a way better centerman, I'd say, in Adam Henrique. So I think that line should get some looks as well. As for the second line, it has produced as well, but I don't, like for one period, I think, and then they switched it up. So yeah. I'm curious to see if these lines stay together. I don't know, but I don't mind it. It's a different look, and maybe Florida's looking at this like, okay, this is a different look. I don't know how we're going to match against these lines, and obviously you get the last change as well, being on home ice. So I don't mind it. As for defense, man, good for Broberg. Hey, like he's getting some minutes with Darnell Nurse. He has played on the right side before. So I don't mind it. All in all, man, just looking at these lines, it's a lot of different looks, but I think I'm okay with all of them, if I'm being honest, for what they're, what they're dealt with, obviously, with Kane being out. So I don't mind it, Tommy.
All right, one more time. These are the lines for tonight. McDavid centering Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl between McLeod and Perry. Adam Henrique with Matthias Janmark and Connor Brown. Derek Ryan returns to playoff action. He will center Dylan Holloway and Warren Foegele on defense. Ekholm with Bouchard. Darnell Nurse playing. He's paired up with Broberg. Kulak paired up with Ceci. 780-218-9999. Give us your takes really quickly as we have a minute to get to these texts. 780-218-9999. Sticky Dave says, whatever it takes, boys. I don't care what the lines look like. Get the job done. LFG, Sticky Dave. Good to hear from you, Sticky Dave. Mary says, I can live with those lines. Too bad Kane is hurt. Glad to see Ryan get a chance to redeem himself from his last game, and glad the 525 pair is split. Twitter, Mary. Excellent stuff. A big thank you to everybody who tuned in, everybody who listened on the audio side, whether it was on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Apple Music, or our Edmonton Sports Talk audio stream. Huge thank you to all of you. And then to those who watched on YouTube, we appreciate you. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. For Matt Kassian and YouTube Trev, I'm Tom Gazzola. Say thanks for watching. Thank you for listening. Enjoy game number 3 and join us for the GCL Diesel post-game show following the Oilers and the Panthers. Enjoy, everybody. Ciao, ciao.